I've been in real estate for about 8 years. Became, I would say, top producer last 4 to 5 of those years. About 3 years ago, I saw that a lot of struggling agents are out there needing help, support, training. And so I decided to start my own company. Simple Real Estate came, really me and my wife were brainstorming. We were trying to find, what drives us, right? How did my business propel over the last few years? The reason why I was successful is because I came from educational point of view. Every client that I encountered, I made sure that I educated them throughout the process and tried to make the process simple for them. Oddly enough, right, we're seeing a huge shift in the market. Some people are already feeling it. Some people will feel it in the near future. My really philosophy on the whole thing is that, real estate transactions happen every day. My goal is to make sure that we lead with integrity first and make sure that we are putting people into situations that are going to help them succeed.
All right, welcome to the Top Real Estate Influencers podcast with your hosts, Mario Hurley and myself, Alex Montalenti. Today, we have the pleasure of being with Konstantin Safris. Konstantin was raised in Ukraine, came to America, operates out of the Bay Area, and hasn't been in residential real estate his whole life, but wanted to launch something simple, something for the people, something that would help others succeed. And we're curious to hear the story of all this. So let's get into it.
Cool. Thanks, Alex. Thanks for a nice introduction. Again, my name is Konstantin. I'm a broker owner and team leader here at Simple Real Estate. Our slogan is making real estate simple. And we do that whether it's interactions with clients or our agents. We always want to make sure that we lead with training first, education first, consultant first, and then everything else follows.
That's really awesome. So Konstantin, again, welcome to this conversation. And I want to mention a little bit like how funny it was, how you ended up being a guest of our podcast, which was not the typical way. Typically what we do is we seek out, influencers, people who have done something crazy, something amazing to bring them up here. But here you actually came out of an event where we participated, which we knew was going to be a really key event for us to get to network and know folks. And then you won the prize. So share with us, what was your experience when you won the prize? How has the treatment been for you?
Yeah, absolutely. We were at Ylopo event in Vegas, having fun in their after party. And all of a sudden I heard my name called, and I kind of looked at one of my agents who I brought to the event at that time. And I'm like, is this real? I actually want something. I'm usually not as lucky and don't win tons of stuff. So it was pretty cool event. And, Ylopo always puts on world-class events, tons of learning going on. I actually met with Mario at one of the stands and learned about Real Grader. So it was a pretty awesome experience.
Yeah, you're right. We did speak briefly. You're right.
Absolutely.
Cool. And had they been treating you okay at the company?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I went through their whole onboarding process and pretty much finishing up now with all the changes that you guys are making. And yeah, it's been an awesome experience.
Nice.
You're clearly a go-getter. I mean, being at the Ylopo event, I mean, everybody in that room is, an influencer, is people who are leading in the industry. There was I counted about 800 people at that event, but that included team leaders and team members. So, there was probably, 400 to 500 different companies there combined with their teams. And I can already tell by, just being at that event, you're somebody who wants to go all in and take it to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Absolutely.
Can you give us a little background? With complex systems and all that, give me background on like Simple Real Estate. What was the inspiration for that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been in real estate for about 8 years and became, I would say, top producer last 4 to 5 of those years. And about 3 years ago, I saw that a lot of struggling agents are out there needing help, support, training. And so I decided to start my own company. Simple Real Estate came. Really, me and my wife were brainstorming, and we were trying to find, what drives us, right? How did my business propel over the last few years? And we really saw that the reason why I was successful is because I came from educational point of view. Every client that I encountered, I made sure that I educated them throughout the process and tried to make the process simple for them. So our slogan became making real estate simple, as far as, making it educational, fun, and at the same time, getting our clients' goals accomplished. And that's where simple came. We just want to make, these complex transactions very simple for our clients. And then if we look at the other side of the business of, helping agents, again, tons of, I think the statistically 87% turnover in real estate agent wise, and we wanted to stop that. We wanted to make sure that these new agents had a simple process, pretty much a bulletproof step-by-step system that could make them successful as long as they follow it properly and listen to the advice.
Wow. So I love the fact that you said education. I think that's crucial. Many people are missing that education piece, and that's why they're overwhelmed, and that's why they're not able to grow. They're stuck doing the same thing, hoping for new results, and we know very well that doesn't work. So that's great that you guys saw that was like a nice little crucial step for you guys to take in order to bring in people that want to have that education and move on to the next level. So tell us a little bit about because this is beautiful. I think this is the first time I'm hearing Alex, our guest, speak about their wife, like they're speaking about a partnership, a teamwork type of activity. So tell us how that came about. What kind of dynamics do you have with your wife?
Absolutely. She's definitely my better half, a super smart individual. And, funny enough, she is a teacher, right? So I get that part of being an educational person and educating people and making sure that I'm explaining things and, I don't want to say dumb it down, but making sure that it's understandable and relatable. And, she's definitely 100% involved in any business that my crazy head gets me into. Sometimes she supports it. Sometimes she can bring me down and even out. I'm a go person, high vision, high intensity. Once I get something in my head, I'm like, hey, full force ahead, 100% into it. And, sometimes you do have to slow down and really dissect things. So I think she's my ebb and flow of the whole process and able to keep me grounded sometimes when I'm going 100 miles an hour.
Wow. So she's an agent as well.
So she's a teacher, but she actually got her real estate license last year. To be honest, I don't know if this is her, passion where she wants to be, but she does see where our business is going and wants to, be able to help on every level possible. And so we felt like having her being a licensed agent would help us in the long term.
Amazing.
So yeah, has zero transactions, but a lot of knowledge and passion.
Yeah, for sure. And so shout out to whom? What's her name?
Alina. Yep.
Alina. Also Ukrainian?
No, it's funny enough. The name is very, Russian or Ukrainian, but nope, she's from Newark, California. Was born and raised there.
Very cool. Very cool. I wanted to find out more about your views because before we started the podcast, you mentioned how you had a perspective and you didn't want to just compromise your goals. You wanted to go all out. So tell us more about, what's the driving force currently in your business? Where do you want to take this? Like, what opportunities do you see for yourself?
Absolutely. And, oddly enough, right, we're seeing huge shift in the market. Some people are already feeling it. Some people will feel it in the near future. My really philosophy on the whole thing is that, real estate transactions happen every day. My goal is to make sure that we lead with integrity first, and make sure that we are putting people into situations that are going to help them succeed, whether it's a homeowner needing to sell, right, and needing our guidance and our expertise and our honest opinion of what's going on in today's market and what they can honestly get in today's market, or whether it's us helping agents start out and help them grow and set realistic goals and expectations of what we can attain, and put together a really good system for them to follow. And so I like we spoke before, I really feel like integrity, if you lead with that first, everything else will follow. If you take the right steps in the process, that the end result will follow. It's just a matter of time. You just have to give it time and do the right steps, and that will all lead to success.
What do you guys see up ahead in the future, in the next 3, 5, 10 years?
Yeah, absolutely. So my goal is to create a real estate team that has 25 high producing agents in Sacramento area, which we cover, and the Bay Area. So we really have two different markets, I would say, different price points, different people that live in these areas. And we want to make sure that we are able to service them to the highest abilities, and that making sure that they get their goals met, that if they want to buy a house today, great. If they want to buy a house in the next 2 years, that's great as well. And so in the next 3 to 5 years, I think we will get there to having about 50 agents on our team between the two different areas, and we will be able to be one of the top teams in California. And that's what we're striving for. And we are competing with the #1 team in California here in Sacramento area. I believe you had Suneet on your podcast at one point or another, and so we're going after them.
Yes,
Nice.
I love that competitive spirit.
Absolutely.
So I got a question for you. So I mean, you mentioned you're a top producer, and it took something to get to top producer, and then you built a company and you're training your team to help them be successful. What would you say for people that are out there, like what should they be shooting for as far as now I'm a top producer? Like what's the definition of a top producer nowadays in the industry for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a top producer, it depends on the different areas, right? We have a higher price point. So if we look at our production for our areas, I would say a typical top producer is going to do 15 plus million in production. I think for other areas, maybe we go Midwest or some lower price points, maybe that person might only have to get to 5 to 10 million to be a top producer in that area. So I think it depends. That would be a good answer. But what I would say for anybody who's aspiring to be a top producer is really dive into your actions, right? What actions are you taking every single day to become successful? That goes back to having a really good schedule to make sure that, as a real estate agent, you're prospecting all the time, you're looking for a new business, right? And you have somebody, a mentor, whether it's myself or somebody who's been there before, to walk you through these steps and to make sure that your schedule is dialed in, that your actions are dialed in, that you're taking every single day to become, and I know it's probably a cliche, 1% better, right? Because we know that just like interest can compound, your actions can compound and get you to where you want to be. With that being said, you got to set a goal for yourself, but goals are not enough. You have to put steps in place of how you're going to get to that goal, right? If I wake up and say, hey, I want to be a millionaire today or tomorrow, well, that's all great, but what steps is it going to take you to get there? And so I truly believe that, a person who wants to succeed in real estate, if they're a brand new agent, the best thing that they can do themselves, there's two ways. One, hire a coach. Two, you join a team. That's really the two proven systems that can get you to where you want to be. A team is really, you're paying your coach out of your split, right? Because somebody's on that top of the team and they're going to educate you and coach you through the process. Or you have the money to bankroll a good coach, and then you can just hire a coach and they're going to put together a system for you to follow as well. So that's two ways to get there.
And then just a follow-up to that is, in your career, you're doing 1% better, 1% better, you're taking the actions, and then at some point it must have really started to lift off. Was there an aha moment for yourself, or was there like some new action you did, or some new coaching you got, or what was the trend, like what was that inflection point where it really took it to the next level?
Absolutely. I think it happens to pretty much every entrepreneur where, we don't start out going up, right? We're starting out somewhere. And typically, even let's say we go back to content, right? Podcasts or videos, you keep making them, nobody's watching them, right? Maybe your friend's family, mom, dad, whatever, they're watching them. And then all of a sudden something happens and you go. For me, honestly, I feel like I had an aha moment of prospecting nonstop, right? At the beginning, when I first started my real estate career, I was actually a partner in a remodeling company, right? So I was an entrepreneur building this remodeling company, splitting my time, focusing tons on remodeling business, and then doing real estate, I would say on the side, weekends, evenings, whenever I had a free time. I get a lead, bam, I'm going to walk away and I'm going to pick up that phone call and try to see what happens. Well, at some point, I said, hey, I have to focus on this first if I want this to go somewhere. I went through trainings, started diving and going really all into coaching, training, and development, which put me on the right steps to success as far as, hey, I got to find time every single day to prospect. It doesn't matter what's going on in my life, whether it's I got 10 deals going on or I have none. I know that for me to produce every single month of the year, I have to prospect every single day of the year. And, I know that's probably exaggeration, but let's say 5 days a week, 2 to 4 hours a day, you have to time block and you have to do it. And once you do that consistently, you will see your trajectory change quite a bit.
Consistent, committed action.
Consistent action. Yep, absolutely.
So what are some of the things that inspire you to keep on talking about coaching and training? Share more about that, please.
Yeah, for sure. So, one thing that inspires me personally, is my family, right? I want to make sure that I set up my family for success, and I want to leave a legacy behind. When I leave, I want to know that I impacted tons of people. And one way that I am impacting people other than my family is my business. I want to see a lot of successful agents coming out of Simple Real Estate. And the model that we developed, I believe, is that they don't have to come out of Simple Real Estate. They can stay. So I'm a team leader, but I'm also a broker owner. So the way we set up our system is that people first go in the team, then they can graduate to be in the brokerage once they got their feet wet and they can spread their wings and fly away. So my goal is really, I'm hoping that I can impact throughout my career about 1,000 agents that can be very successful, and that I can leave that legacy behind, that I created these 1,000 successful agents when I'm done.
Wow. Okay. That's beautiful. So this is great. But where did you come up with this inspiration? Like you're a family man. That's clear there. And you mentioned you have already one child and one on the way. So
yeah, honestly, all of this is, from being young, I feel like my family has always instilled family first. My parents were great. They sacrificed all this stuff just to come to United States, right? In their 40s, they drop their whole life so me and my sister can have a better life out here, right? And so for me, that instilled in me early on how important it is to really be family person first, and then everything else will follow. With that being said, I want to be, like I said, I want to leave a legacy behind. And in order to leave a legacy, you have to do the right things every day, and you have to lead with the right steps. You have to do the right thing, no matter if it hurts you or if it helps you. You got to do the right thing. And, I was lucky enough to meet my wife, who has similar values and beliefs. And, whenever I brainstorm, and usually once a year we sit down and we write our family goals, we write our business goals. And, some of these things, they're like babies, they're born in that meeting between me and my wife, right? They come up, and then you take that year to work on them.
That's amazing. Yeah, actually, I myself definitely believe in that. What I'm doing is not only for the time that I'm here, but also for what I'm leaving behind. Like you said, my legacy. Yeah, my children are my legacy, and it gives me a great sense of pride, gratitude, and a sense of purpose. That it's definitely. I'm just thinking about the fact that you are very lucky, fortunate in that sense, because you do have that wonderful family structure that lets you know that it's much bigger than just you being financially successful, but it's like more. You're here to fulfill a purpose that benefits other people, makes our planet be a more fun place to be in, a more enjoyable, friendly, safe place to be in. And so that's great that you're doing that, and you have such a much bigger vision. There's lots of people, even agents, who are missing that, are lacking that. So it's great that you're doing that. I know, Alex, you're in the same boat.
Yeah. Well, what I was thinking about is all the agents and even entrepreneurs and business people that don't have that support. Like they're with somebody, and you think that somebody's with you, but really they're not sold on you making it. Right? Like, like the fact that you come together and write your goals together, and like your family goals together. Very few families or couples do that. I think that's important, because then you have alignment, you have vision. Even just in a business partnership, like me and my business partner, for a couple of years, we didn't have alignment on vision. And that was like, okay, well, what's north? Which way are we going here? So, I see it out there. I see some couples where it's like, I don't think he's going to make it. Like, I don't know what he's doing all day. Is he going to sell some real estate or what?
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think it's super important, in any relationship, right? Whether it's business or personal relationship, to be in alignment. They always say partnerships are hard, especially in business, right? Because there's two different people, two different heads that are trying to come as one and build this, something really great, right? But all it takes is a little unalignment, I would say, right? Two different visions that don't align together for that to go south, and I feel like even for us, right? Like me and my wife, I don't think we always had the same, I don't know if it's work ethic, but, the same steps to our life and our goals, right? To have these sit downs, to whether we're looking at our personal financial budget or we're looking at our goals. But one thing we saw once we did start doing it, things actually come to life, right? Like your goals actually end up getting accomplished. And of course, you want to have some goals, that you won't accomplish in a year. You might not even accomplish those in 5 years. Who knows? But they're there. There's something for you to thrive and to try to achieve. But then you also have to have some goals that are achievable, because if you never achieve any goals, then you feel like you're a failure. right? And that you can never get to where you want to be. And so I feel like, goal planning, whether it's, a real estate agent, putting on paper what they want to do in next year, 3, 5, and then really writing out actionable steps to get you there. And it has to be the same way in family, right? You want to have more kids. Okay, how are you going to get there? How are you going to feed all those kids, right? How are you going to get them through schooling? How are they even going to be able to be taken care of realistically, right? We see families all the time have 5 kids and they don't even know what the heck they're doing or where their next check is going to come from. Like that was one of the things that me and my wife came and we're like, we're only going to put as many kids out there as we can support and really, nurture and give back to. So I think, sitting down and game planning and masterminding and goal setting is 100% one of the most important things you can do for yourself in life, whether it's personal or entrepreneurial.
Now I know what to add into my dating profile for all the ladies out there. Got to be in alignment with me, okay?
Absolutely. You got to give them a little checklist before you go on a date.
Yeah, it's what's so crucial with that is that even now, 2022, we could call ourselves survivors after all that craziness that happened when everything was shut down and we had to reinvent how we do business, how we socialize, how we connect. People are still, I'm going to say they're still in la la land. They still have all these, pie in the sky ideas that can accomplish things, and they don't have a roadmap. They don't have accountability. They don't have coaching. They don't have a structure, but they have big dreams. And absolutely. I think you being here right now, sharing with us, like none of what you said so far was by chance. It was by design. You had those conversations, you had those beliefs, you put in the time and work, and you constantly check. And you check with your partner, you check with your people. Are we on the right track? Is this working? And what the biggest thing is your integrity, like being realistic, being honest, and upholding why you're doing this in the first place.
Absolutely. And you have to be honest with yourself too, right? Sometimes you set a goal and you start going that way, and that way doesn't work, right? I mean, you could be, and I always tell my team, I'm like, hey, everybody can make mistakes, whether it's goal setting mistake, whether it's implementation mistake, everybody is allowed to make mistakes. We just got to learn from them, right? We got to learn this is not the way it's supposed to go. Let's scrap that and go a different way. The last thing you want to do is not be honest with yourself on where things are at in life, right? The biggest thing that I see in the last probably 2 years have had passive income, right? I mean, there's no such thing as passive income. Everything takes time. Absolutely. Are there some, investment opportunities that you can put some money into and, they will make you some passive income, but guess what? You still have to research that opportunity. If you didn't do your due diligence and research that opportunity, you're more likely to lose money than to make any money on that, right? Anybody can make a TikTok or a YouTube video about this great next opportunity, but you can't believe the first thing you hear. You got to go and do your due diligence before you put your money to work there. And so, yeah, passive income is great, but there's, in my personal opinion, there's really no such thing as passive. Everything takes work, everything takes action. And then if you take action every single day, it's going to lead you to, your vision of success.
Mm-hmm. One thing that we experience ourselves in terms of passive income, this is a good one to share. Like some people might disagree with you and say, no, it does exist. I have some passive income. I make a couple bucks a month. We actually set up this entire platform where we could do our trainings live while we sleep. And nice. We actually had somebody, one of these agents, I don't even remember who it was at this point, but she actually watched she went through our email sequence and then went to our training, and she signed up for our service all while we were sleeping. I just saw this email like at 3:30 in the morning. I said, it works. We got to do this. but that was just once.
And it's passively now, right? But it still took tons of action for you at some point, right? You have to create those videos, have to create a campaign to attract that person, right? Yes, I mean, to an extent, it's somewhat passive at this point. But what I mean is at some point you got to take action in order for anything to happen, right?
Well,
like just
it broke the very next day, and then it wasn't maintained after that, and without proper maintenance, we know what happens, right?
that too, right? And even like, let's say you invested with somebody, right? You still got to double check. You got to look at financials. How are things going, right? All of that stuff. If you just give them the money and you forget it, most likely you're going to lose all that money at some point, right? It's not, if you got to verify what you expect every single time.
I mean, it's been almost 2 years since that one-time sale. So yeah, we're not there yet. Where are we with that now, Alex?
Yeah.
How close are we to actually having that passive whole system, like gets us clients?
Again, it's not passive, but to create the system, I think we're right there. We could do it. We just got to have a meeting about it.
We're right there, man. We're right there.
Set some goals and some actions, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you. But that's perfect. It's like, it looks like passive, but bro or sir or ma'am, it takes some serious work, which most people never get to hear about. They just see you being successful. And they're like, oh, of course, you're lucky. Yeah, right. Look at my life. Look what I had to go through to get there. And not to complain, though. That's worth it.
Absolutely, right? We all want to be successful, and everybody does. And they look at your life on Facebook, Instagram, whatever it might be, but they forget, they don't see those hard nights that you work, let's say 16, 18 hours that day, or you missed out on, hanging out with or putting your son to sleep because you had to be with the client and walking them off the ledge, right? Or whatever it might be, all those hard things that, or people might say, hey, this year you hired 8 agents, right? That's awesome. How did that happen, right? They didn't see the last year and a half of building out systems, of trying things, trying other things, making sure that your value proposition is there, your systems are set up, all of that. They see, oh, now you're at 9, 10 agents. Great. They didn't see all that work that it took to get here, and having a bunch of interviews and people ghosting you afterwards because they didn't feel like that you have the right vision in place right at that moment, right? Or maybe you couldn't articulate that properly so they could see your value. All of those things, people only see what they want to see. And so then that's why they say, oh, he's lucky, or he's this. I mean, honestly, the only luck that works is in Vegas, right? Like, that's where you can get lucky and you can put it on red and you can double up real quick. But everything else in life, it's given to those who take action.
Speaking of taking action, I want to share my recent story, and maybe you have some insight and maybe some training for your agents or for the agents listening on this. So I recently moved, right? Like, I was renting an apartment and then I moved to rent a house, and I contacted, I was on realtor.com, like hitting up listing inquiries left and right. And probably only 10% gave me a response. And I was genuinely interested in moving. I just moved, so clearly I'm legit, right? And I'm not looking at, it's a decently expensive home that I'm renting, right? It's like a good commission. So I'm inquiring. I get 1 or 2 agents that followed up a little bit, but not so much. I go see some properties for the agents that actually responded and said, hey, I can meet you at this time, which was rare. And when I did, none of them said, are you working with an agent? They just showed me the properties. And me being in the business, I'm just sitting here watching the show because I'm like, this is so interesting to me. Like, I'm a real life person going through the process right now. And I'm such an opportunity for anybody that I meet to just have a conversation. Like, hey, are you working with a buyer? Or are you working with an agent? Can I help you? What are you looking for? Instead, what I got was a lot of showings with no inquiry as to who I would work with. Wasn't until the very last property that I said, I was about to make an offer and I didn't make the offer. The agent reached out and said, oh, you're not going to make the offer. Well, can I show you some other properties? Okay, so that moves on. I go find a property. There's a huge waiting list of families trying to get into the property. I get in first. I make my full offer without an agent because at this point nobody had even offered to help me. And and the agent whose listing it is takes my offer, presents my offer. We do the deal. And interestingly, the guy has never even called me or followed up. How are things? How's the house? Can I help your family? Does any of your friends need to move? Does Mario need to move? Does your employees need to move? Oh, you have a company with 40 employees that need to relocate? Not one question about my life, about who I am. And so it goes back to simple real estate. Like, it's so simple. You know, when we talk about action, what advice would you give to your agents if you saw that go down or now hearing that story? And what advice can we give to agents out there? Because to me, it was very simple, like, have a conversation with me.
Absolutely. Build rapport, right? And that's one thing that we teach our agents, and it's still hard, right? Like, they'll go through our whole training, which will teach them the right way to communicate, right? But then I think our human nature kicks in and they're like, oh, that person doesn't want to talk to me, right? And then these interactions become, I would say, transactional, right?
Mhm.
It's like, what kind of home do you want? Where do you want to live? And let me go show you some houses. It's not like, hey, why do you want to move? Is your job relocating? Did your company grow and now you got more money to spend? What are some things that are driving these actions? And that's what we're trying to instill in our agents. One thing that we created at Simple Real Estate is a client care department. So we have a person that, every month they're going to call you after you're our past client. They're going to say, hey, how are things going? Do you need a plumber? Do you need an HVAC person? You need, do you have your home warranty on file? Do you need us to email it to you? Things like that. But guess what? The funny part is a lot of people won't pick up the phone from the client care department, but they will pick up my phone call. Right. So that's where, we're trying to automate these things, because I know that the agents are not doing it. Right. But at the same time, I'm also seeing that sometimes, because we're trying to build the relationship through that transaction, that then that person doesn't want to, interact with somebody else. And so now although we have that department, I'm trying to push back on agents that, hey, we need to do these things. Yes, we can rely on that extra phone call from our client care department, but at the end of the day, nothing substitutes you continuing that relationship. And so we're doing things like client events and things like that for us to be able to reconnect with our past clients. But unfortunately, I don't know what it is with sales, people, is that they are afraid of doing the right thing, I would say, right? Because we all know what the right steps are, building that relationship and making sure that that person feels like you're really going to take care of them. But what I'm seeing a lot, even on my team, sometimes is that pushback. It's like, well, I don't want to bother that person. I'm like, no, they want that. And you're the first. I'm going to replay this podcast for them, because this shows that these people want to build that relationship with you. They want you to follow up, and we're just not doing enough. And I think that's what Tristan says all the time. It's like, us as agents just never do enough.
Yeah, I found it interesting because I slipped through the system. I'm gonna call it. I slipped through the real estate system.
Yeah. But I don't know how. Like, why wouldn't somebody want to build that? You're reaching out, and that's what, if you talk to any real estate agent, they want that inbound, activity, right? They hate following up or calling leads or whatever, even though, more no's you get, you're closer to no. So they want that inbound. But how come, 8 out of 10 agents, after getting an inbound activity, they did not spend time to follow up with you, which is, super concerning. And, that's one thing why we created this company, to hopefully, take some of that control back and teach the agents the right way of communicating and making sure that we give 100% what we call a world-class customer experience for our clients. I always say we want to be a Ritz-Carlton of real estate agents, where, when somebody thinks about real estate, right, they're thinking about us because of how we made them feel, right? Like you walk into Ritz-Carlton and before you cross that step, they're going to know your name. Somebody already radioed in and said, hey, this person is walking in. And I don't even know how the hell they know, but they do. And so that's our goal, is to create that experience that people are like, wow, they did that, instead of the experience that you got, Alex, where you're like, how the hell did they not do that?
Yeah, it was a fun one to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I just went through a move too last year. We moved from Bay Area to Placer County, Rockland, and luckily for me, we're close enough where I didn't have to rely on another agent. I was able to kind of facilitate it to an extent myself, but it would have been a really cool experience to see what other agents and what type of service you get from them. Should be like an undercover boss type of show where we just call agents. Should create that show. There you go. I got an idea now. We just got to take some action, Alex.
Awesome.
I think that's really a good way to close today's conversation about the fact that that's a huge window of opportunity for agents who are wondering, well, what's it going to take for me to be really successful, move from average to above average? That 1% or 2% you can put in there. It is the follow-up. It is doing that work that most agents will not do by whatever reason. We've already learned in our organization that we want to do the things that we're uncomfortable doing. We see the treasure when we do that. When we do just the bare minimum or what's expected of us, and we don't push a little further, then it gets pretty boring pretty quick. So in our company, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I just thought of like what you said before, Konstantin, and it hit me. It's like, rather than servicing the listings, the industry really needs to service the people. Whether I'm calling about the listing or I have a listing, that's great. That's secondary. That's totally secondary to me and to you, and a relationship and a conversation and communication. Then we can talk about the listing, right? And why that hit me is one person that I inquired about a property did that, right? And he chose not to help me, but he was like, he's like, it's just not going to work for me. But the first thing he did was talk to me as a human being, not like, oh, you're calling about 8,467, Sherry Lane. No. Hi, my name is Alex. Hi, what's your name? Oh, you're looking at a property right now? That's amazing. And why are you looking? And do you have a family, or you have this many? What's going on with you? Tell me about you. That's what this guy did. And that still stood out in my brain. Like I actually felt so good about it that I would have worked with the guy, but it just wouldn't work for him, because that was his area, his geographic area. Right.
Yeah.
But
yeah, relationships over transactions, guys. I mean, that is going to win every single time. And sometimes it is about, building that relationship and maybe saying that, hey, this is not, I can't help you on this journey, but hey, I was here. I listened to you. I understood your goals. And hey, sometimes it's just not the right fit, and it's okay. But at least people, if you care about people, they will reciprocate that back.
Yeah, there you go. There's that window of opportunity. Relationships and going beyond the Call of Duty, baby. That's next level for everyone. So I want to thank you, Konstantin, for joining our podcast. Look forward to having you in your future. Talk about how you realize your goals and dreams with your team and in your business. Congratulations on the new baby on its way.
Thanks, guys. It was great chatting with you, and I look forward to the future.
Absolutely.